Is your side project really a passion, or is it just client work without the invoice? From podcasts to portfolio bait, Shay and I are going to swap war stories on when side hustles actually feed into the business and when they drain it, and why sometimes that best kind of personal project is the one you never monetize. So my first question, Shay, how many side projects do you have going on at any one time?
So fewer than you, I believe. I know you are the absolute queen of the side project. So I think I would say 2 or 3. So right now, what have I got going on? I've got this podcast. I do have another one, but that is for a client coming along. I've got my email course. I've got a freelancing course. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I also have a few more than I thought. And then I'm also doing some personal essay writing and pitching and storytelling. So however many that was, yes, okay, slightly more than 2,
I
which
lost
is what I
count.
initially thought. Yeah. And you?
Yeah.
Dare we ask? Okay, guys, it's going to be a long
Hey,
episode. Get your
okay.
cup of tea.
Yeah. Settle in, children. No, I don't think I've actually got that many going on at the moment. I've got this podcast which is non-monetized. I've got, as we mentioned in the last one, I'm doing a test. I'm going to record a couple of episodes of another one I had an idea for and see if there's any traction for that. I have just recently written a dystopian. Well, I don't even know if it's a novella or a short story. But that was kind of like, it started out as a joke in a meeting with a client and it turned into this like short story thing. So I had that going on. That's now published. I've written a white paper for myself. And in a later episode, we're going to actually discuss, it's been a really quiet 2 months for me from a client work perspective. So I've been doing all this stuff. The white paper I've written has kind of moved into a new project that I'm doing that I've got this framework set up that I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with. So that's kind of sitting on the back burner. Yeah. And then again, like, what do you classify as a side project? Is it something that you just feel that you've got this project or this thing inside of you that needs to come out, or is it something that you're really hoping starts bringing money in at some stage? Maybe we should have started there. What qualifies as a side project for you?
Question. I'd say it's something that hasn't necessarily been briefed to me by a client. That's how I'd probably define it. So you can earn money from it. You're not guaranteed to earn money from it. The intention might not be to earn money from it at all, but it's something that has originated, that you've had an idea and want to execute.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's mainly that you've got this idea and you want to see where it goes. You don't really you don't really want to necessarily monetize it or turn it into like, this is this new thing that I do for my business. It's just this thing. Like I say, you've got this burning desire inside of you to get something out into the world. So, yeah, for me, a side project is anything that is not paid client work, whether or not it has got to do with my business, because I've got other side projects going on that are not
Yeah.
business related. But
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have a project that started out like just for fun, but then it actually turned into a paid thing?
I'd say actually probably writing my book, because I just thought, a couple of people had asked me questions about becoming a freelance, and I thought, hey, I'm a writer, let me just write these down. And then, yeah, it kind of became a book. And then I thought, oh, I wonder, should I send this to publishers? And I did, and it went from there. So, I mean, that was something that I did start just for fun, not knowing where it would go, if at all, if anything. And yeah, I mean, yes, okay, I've earned some money from the book, not a hell of a lot, but it's actually been more, I'd say, indirect benefits of doing that have built my business, I would say. Yeah. And what about you?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily brought in money, or at least not directly, but this podcast has gone through several iterations, as we've discussed before, and it started off as a joke. And now it's kind of become like a staple of my marketing. And out of that, I've developed a lot of networking, and I've had some clients that have developed out of it. And I know that Mariana, who we interviewed on this podcast, I know that you're working with her now. So it just goes to show the power of like
Mm,
podcasts. And if you're offering something um, for free, I suppose, how it comes back to you in other ways. So yeah, I
100%.
would say that the podcast is definitely one. But I think a lot of my side projects, I mean, I used to brew beer, I go mountain biking, I'm now doing dog training and all that kind of thing. And while I suppose you could loosely classify those as side projects, but a lot of the skills I've learned in those things have come back in to help in the business in some ways. So
Mm,
yeah, you never really know where business ideas are going to come from.
mm. Yeah, and I think building on what you said, being a freelancer, it's important to dip your toe into different things in your personal life, in your business, because it just makes you
Mm,
a more well-rounded, more versatile, and more agile freelancer, which you need in this, AI can
yeah,
replace you pretty easily in a lot of stuff that you do. So you need to always be innovating and building on your skill set in different ways so that you can add more value to your clients and to whoever else might need you. So I think it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
important.
Speaking of value to clients, do you hide your side projects from clients because you're worried they might get this like idea that you're too distracted, that you're working on too many things? Or like, do you let your side projects out into the world while you are busy working on them? How do you kind of balance side projects with paid work
Mm.
and paid clients?
Well, I think absolutely clients need to know what you're working on because, as we've spoken about, it shows your versatility. For you, it's actually producing the podcast has given you other podcast related work because people are thinking, oh, wow, here's someone who can produce a podcast.
Mm,
So my personal essay writing, for example, it shows my clients another side of my writing that's not professional. It's a bit more creative. So, I think it just adds to your credibility all in all. And, if they're worried about it being a distraction, then they obviously are not a great fit for me or don't know me very well because they know that when they give me work, I'm going to produce it on deadline to the best of my ability. And,
mm,
it's
mm.
it's a priority for me. In general, I would say my side projects are a priority two and client work is priority one. I mean, it pays the bills. So, although it's
Yeah,
important
yeah,
to have a balance and do both, I think, yeah, I would say they know that their work comes first for me anyway. Yeah. Have you had any
yeah.
issues with that?
Um, no, and weirdly, the clients that I wrote that sparked the idea for my little short story,
Mm.
it's actually made us closer. It's like cemented the
Yeah.
relationship a little bit because we kind of were joking every time we had a meeting. She would like, "How's the story coming along?" And I'm like, "Well, you're giving me all this work. I can't work on it, so stop giving me work." Which maybe in hindsight was not the greatest thing to say.
Uh,
But yeah, it's kind of deepened the relationship and provided a new level of uh, interest and new stuff to talk about with that particular client.
mm,
And I think that my work speaks for itself. Like you say, client work, you're getting paid for it, and that's priority number one. So you know that I'm going to output what I've always output, and the whatever other thing I'm messing around with, even if it's for you as a joke on the side, is going to come second.
mm.
So yeah,
And
I
it's
don't
never going to be
necessarily hide side
competing.
projects.
No,
Yeah,
it's never going to be
exactly.
competing because that
Yeah,
would be boring if you were just replicating your client work as your side project. Your side project's always going to have a lot of you in it versus, as I said, it's something that hasn't been briefed to you. So it's going to be
yes,
completely
yeah,
different
yeah.
to what they're producing.
Uh, the only time that I will hide something is if I am not sure what it's going to become. So I am working on something at the moment. I wrote my little white paper, and out of that, there's another thing that's come out of that I'm working on at the moment, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So I don't know if
Okay.
I'm going to try and make it into a marketable product, or if I'm going to just integrate it into my own processes, or what I'm going to do. So at the moment, I'm not sharing that with anyone because I don't know what it's going to become. But once I've decided, then like look at this thing that I've been working on the back end. But yeah, otherwise I don't have a problem sharing side projects with people. Sometimes it actually is quite helpful because they come up with a new thing for you to think about. Cool. So we want to know from you. Are you working on side projects? Are you willing to share them with us? It's always interesting to see what other freelancers are working on, whether business or not business related. Pop it in the comments, and we will maybe chat about it in a new episode in the future. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next episode.